Hey, what's up, everybody? We are back today with the Trespasser DLC. We're out in the Winter Palace talking about a bit of a hidden quest that you're going to come across out here. Now, as you've been walking around the palace, you may or may not have run into a Harlequin out here. Now, Harlequin's just a fancy name for a jester, but you may have turned a corner, run out a shop door, and all of a sudden you saw something in a funny colored suit standing in front of you, and then poof, it was gone in a black cloud of smoke and some purple electricity. That was a Harlequin. Now, what you need to do is you need to sneak up on these Harlequins and surprise them. And once you surprise 5 of them, you're going to be rewarded with a schematic. And then each individual one that you surprise, you're going to get some free attribute points. For me, I was getting 2 dexterity for each one that I surprised, but that may not be the same in your game. You may get something a little bit different. I just wanted to let you know there are some other perks to surprising these Harlequins. Now, please note that the Harlequins are static, which means they don't walk around. They're just positioned in various places throughout the Winter Palace that you can find them. The other thing to note is that I personally did not get any interact icons with them. I just had to kind of get close enough and then use my A button on my Xbox controller, whatever your interact button is for opening doors, looting, opening chests, things along those lines. That's the button you want to hit. It can be a little bit frustrating sometimes where you think you're interacting with them and then you jump and then all of a sudden they disappear. Don't be discouraged. It just kind of happens. So that's about it on Harlequins. We'll be back in just a moment. I'll show you how to sneak up on one, and then we'll check out what the loot you get from them looks like, and then I'll take you around the city and show you where you can find some Harlequins hiding inside the Winter Palace. So we'll be back with all of that in just a moment. Alright, so let's go sneak up on one of these bad boys. Here's one in the background here. We're going to run up to it, spam our interact icon. And we are going to get some free attribute points. And since I found 5 of them, I acquired a schematic called Brand. We'll be back to check that out in just a moment. Alright, so now that you have collected all 5 Harlequins, you've gotten a new schematic. Let's take a look at that schematic. So we'll go into our inventory, go down to weapon schematics, and we're going to go over to staves. Now, this schematic right now, the game literally just came out yesterday, so be aware there are some bugs, and this is one of them. Right now, it's listed as a Tier 3 longsword schematic, however, it appears under the staves. If you actually look at it, you can see the slots that are in it. There's a damage slot, obviously. However, there are 3 offensive metal slots, which is what you would normally see on a sword. This, when you craft it, it actually gives you the option in the damage slot to add either fire, electricity, or ice damage, just like you would a staff. However, when you get down into the offensive metal slots, they work just like you would expect if you've done any one-handed sword crafting, where you're getting strength and constitution and things along those lines as options from your metals. So when you do finally craft it, it does not come out as a staff, it does come out as a sword. And if we go look at weapons, this is what I crafted. You can see there's not even a blade on it. It's just the hilt that you're seeing. It's not a bad looking hilt, obviously, but you can see here's the DPS on it. You can see it allowed me to craft fire damage on it. It's warrior only, so it's bugged right now. Don't worry too much about it, but I did want to show it to you and kind of show you that it's it's a little bit buggy and it's not just your game if you're seeing it on your screen as well. So we'll be back in just a moment. We'll go check out some spots where you can go to track down your Harlequins. Alright, let's talk about finding Harlequins. Now, we are on the western side of the palace. Let's consider this to be, there to be 3 sections in here. This would be the western courtyard, this will be the central courtyard, and this will be the eastern courtyard. I will walk you around and show you, and then I will pop back to the map and show you locations as well. I know everyone likes to see things a little bit differently, so I try to accommodate everyone. Um, for where we are right now, I have had one spawn back in here, so please keep an eye out for that. Also, underneath here, I have had one spawn under here. He was absolutely visible once I passed this. He wasn't like tucked up against the wall where you would never see him. The other spots I've seen them spawn is right here, right here. I've also seen them spawn back here in this little alley, and down here, right about here. Now, one thing to mention is when you're walking around looking for these guys, make sure your camera goes before you do. What does that mean? So, as you're getting to an area you know they could spawn, just go ahead and like hug a wall and turn your camera and look. That way you don't accidentally run into one of them that you could have snuck up on and make them disappear. Just a quick tip, it definitely was very helpful for me to do it that way. Outside of this area, I can honestly say there were no sightings of them inside the buildings. I never ran into one inside one of the buildings, ever. Not to say you won't, but I would be damn surprised if you did, because I went through maybe 30 of these guys, and I just really never, ever, ever saw one inside a building. The next spot that you might find one over here is right over here. So this is the last spot in the courtyard of the western side of the palace that I found one. That's it for over here. So the spots we talked about was here, 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 back in this little alley, then one down here. Then we talked about them showing up pretty much anywhere around this building here. This is a great spot to check for them, and then also right here. So those are the spots in the western courtyard. Let's head to the central courtyard and check out where we can find them over there. If we can orient ourselves in a way where we can figure out where the hell we are. There's the exit.
It's been a while since so many gathered in this place.
Alright, next spot to check for them out in the central courtyard is down here, right here, and then also right here. These are two spots where it's difficult to sneak up on them, especially when there's a ton of people out here, because it's difficult to spot them, and by the time you do, they're gone. You know, if you miss one, it's no big deal. They'll infinitely show back up until you find another, or until you get all 5 of them. Another spot where I found one hanging out was up here, kind of overlooking the courtyard. Definitely kind of a difficult spot to sneak up on them from. Another spot that I found one is underneath here, hanging out by this back railing. Very easy to sneak up on them from this position. The spots that I never found them was up on that platform or up on this platform, nor did I ever find them in those back walkways up there behind the columns. That's not to say you won't, that just means I didn't. So let's take a look at the map and talk about what in here are the spots where you will find them. So underneath this platform, standing up here at the railing, and then also down here. Once again, not the only spots you can find them, but the spots I can guarantee you I've seen them and interacted with them. Now let's talk about the Eastern Courtyard. A great place to go to spot part of the Eastern Courtyard is up here on this ledge. If you jump up here, there is one that has been known to spawn by that pine tree down there, and this is a great place to spot him out. Also up here, if you look down by that pine tree, I've seen one spawn. Also back in this area in here, they do like to spawn, so this gives you a good vantage point on that. Also back here in this corner, just ahead of the stairs around the corner of that building, I've seen them spawn. So this is a good place to kind of look around and get the lay of the land up here without actually having to go down there. But, so here's the spot I was talking about. They like to spawn down here. They also like to spawn over here by this pine tree. Just about anywhere back in here, they have been known to show up. The only place I can tell you they absolutely will not show up is right here. They do not hide in a way that you can absolutely not see them unless you're right on top of them. Other spots to check would be this corner of this building right here as we stand, right? And then this corner as well. Also, right in front of this waterfall, I've seen them spawn. And then right past this waterfall, I've seen them spawn as well. So kind of on opposite sides of the waterfall. I've seen them spawn on this corner as well as around this corner. I have never run into them inside the baths. That doesn't mean you won't run into them inside the baths, but I can tell you I never ran into them inside the baths. The other places that I never ever found them were up on the upper levels here. I never looked at night, but I'm guessing the same deal goes at night. There's still a bunch of people up here. But I never found them up here.
What did they need? All's well, it seems.
And I
Same
never
old.
found them out here on this level above the baths. That doesn't mean they won't show up here for you. I'm just telling you I never found them up here. However, this is a great place to use to spot them beneath you. The last thing to note before we check out the map is that when you do get close by to one of them, you will occasionally get your Inquisitor to notify you of that, and he'll say something along the lines of, "Let's look around," or "There might be something nearby, let's take a look." That happens when you get close to one of the Harlequins or the Jesters, so make sure that when you're walking around, if he says that and your mini-map icon's not flashing like it would do for one of the expensive dog treats, that you stop and pay attention to where you are versus where I've shown you those guys can be, so you can carefully look around and see if you can spot one without scaring it off. So let's go back to the map and talk about what we discussed for the eastern courtyard. So right here, just about anywhere up in here, right over here, right over here, right here in front of the waterfall, behind the waterfall, depending on your perspective, down here on this corner, and then around here on this corner. Once again, never saw them on this top level of the baths, never saw them in the baths, nor did I ever see them up here. Once again, that's not to say that they can't be up there. It's just that I never saw them. The other place that I did never see one was inside the door that's underneath this platform over here. So there's a door that kind of leads back up in here where you find an engraved dog bone, a little statue, blah, blah, blah. I never saw them inside anything. I know I said that when we were over here, but generally they're out in the open. That's the only place I really ever found them. So that's it for tracking down the Harlequins. I hope that tour helped and allowed you to sort out some positions where you might want to check out their locations. But that's it for them out in the Winter Palace. And as always, thanks for watching. Take care.